Hello, William, and welcome to Inspiring Courage Podcast. I'm delighted to have you as my guest today.
And I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Not at all. So I have been talking to people that have guided me through my journey of personal revolution so far. But you, I've recently met during lockdown, in fact, haven't I? So we haven't really known each other for that long. Our paths have crossed in the past. I think we went to a social gathering about 18 months ago together, and we had a little conversation. But the first time I came across you and then we connected was when I joined your networking group, which I loved. And then we had a conversation and I realized how aligned we were. So during that conversation, I think that was the day after I had decided to do this short video series to kind of put the inspiration out there for people who were struggling during COVID, didn't know what they wanted. I thought it would be really lovely to speak to the people who've guided me through my journey to come out with nuggets of wisdom, and so that people may be able to use those nuggets. And I spoke to you and I said, I'm thinking about doing this, William. What do you think? And you said, yeah, that's a great idea. And I said, the only problem is I don't know what I'm going to call it really. I haven't identified what it's going to be about and how we're going to label it. And you beautifully took me through a series of questions and you just said, inspiring courage. That's what you probably need to call it. And you are so right, because it resonates with everything that I talk about and everything that my beautiful guests talk about. So just a quick introduction of where I met you, and it is possible to actually connect on a deep human level with people, even if you don't meet them in person, even if you meet them on Zoom. And I think the potent thing for me is to ask for conversations and to connect deeper with people, and that's how you and I connected actually. So after that very, very long introduction, I wanted to see if you could talk about the courage that small business owners employ every day in order to keep going, because it's not easy being a business owner, is it?
Not at all. And I think, actually you've highlighted with the sorts of challenges that business owners face all the time. Naming a product, even, one level it's just a name, and another level it's something that has to be connected to you, connected to the business, connected to the way that you think and you work. And it's really important, I think, to get to the point where it's emotionally bonded with who you are and what you do. And that I saw that when we had the conversation about naming this series, that when we got to that place of inspiring courage, that you lit up, that your energy changed, that you became enlivened and encouraged to take it further. That's quite a courageous step as well. Naming a product is something that it's like naming a baby, right? It's going to be stuck with that name for the rest of its life, probably. So making the right decision shouldn't be something taken too lightly. And I think, most people that I work with, small business owners, I'm a business mentor, and I'm working with them to help them be building better business. And I think better, is something that is very personal to each individual. For some people, it means growing and getting bigger revenues this year than last year and employing more people, and that's fantastic. For others, it's about doing something in the world that makes a difference to the world. It may not be about growing the business. It might be about being more sustainable, or it might be about helping others. I have one client, for example, who has a foundation in their business that they use to build floating classrooms in Bangladesh. Wow. So that the children can keep being taught in the rainy season. And that I think is really important in terms of finding something that is vital. And by vital, I mean like vitality as part of life. And I think that's where courage comes from, that's where these two pieces come together. If you're doing something that you love, that gives you vitality, that you're also being courageous at the same time. And sometimes that doesn't feel courageous from the inside out, but for other people looking in, hearing about, building classrooms in Bangladesh, or doing something to change the environment in some way, that is in a way fighting against the status quo.
Yep.
And that always feels, certainly from the outside looking in, it feels like something that needs courage. But sometimes doing it can just feel like, this is what I do and this is what I'm passionate about. And to me, passion is the internal expression of the courage that others see.
You're talking about purpose here, having a purpose. I love
Yeah,
that. I love
absolutely.
everything you're saying. And, when you have a purpose, you are emotionally attached to that purpose, so much so that it just drives you forward. No matter how many obstacles you see in the way, you are driven to deliver your purpose. And, you've named it really. And I think it's really interesting what you say, that some business owners don't even realize that they're courageous when they're doing it. It's only because they've got this real desire to achieve something that they keep doing it, and they're so good at keeping on that path that they don't even see it as a strength. So they think that
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
normal and natural and everybody would do that, anybody would do that, I'm not unique in doing that. And then it's not until you share your story that people around you will say, oh gosh, that's really courageous. Like,
Mm.
really? Do you think so? And again, that's the beauty about storytelling, and how we connect with others, and how when we drop that armor and we connect on a real deep human level, we discover that we are much better than what we think we are. And it's we are better as a result of being part of that collective as well, because then we get encouraged, we get championed by people to just keep on that purpose. So I love it, the passion that you're talking about. I kind of identify as my ikigai, as what is it
Yeah,
that gets
yeah.
me out of bed every morning and keeps me on the path. And it's not easy. I was listening to a book the other day, and it quoted something from Joseph Campbell, and it just so resonated with me. And it's like, not many people in this world have the courage to go after what their purpose is. Some don't ever actually get it. And it's not an easy journey. It's never an easy journey to kind of get to where you want to get fully when you're, especially as a small business owner, because you don't have any support around you, really, any financial support, So your purpose is strong enough to keep you going. And that's courage in itself, I think, isn't it?
I think that's entirely true. I see it as a kind of, there's a journey here that starts with, as a child, we go to school, we then maybe go to university or into a job, or we start, all that time we are learning, we're gathering knowledge.
Yeah.
But the knowledge that each of us have is subtly different from the next person. And then, of course, we use that knowledge in the work that we do, and we get experience, and we make mistakes. And hands up, I've
Yeah.
made many. I made
Many.
many,
Who
and still
hasn't?
make. Exactly. But all of those times when you make mistakes, you learn something about, oh, that didn't work, and as a kind of silly example, in lockdown, I've started making, like many others, I think, sourdough bread. Some of them are really nice. Some of them you could build a wall with. Let's just leave it there. But every time it goes wrong, I'm learning something about, what did I
Exactly.
do?
It's
What was different?
experience, isn't it? It's not even the end product with something like that. It's the
Exactly. And
experience, and it's learning it.
so we get that experience, and then we're repeating stuff, and we're turning that into skills.
Yeah.
And the skills that we have, are honed over time. And so we've got knowledge, we've got skills, we've got experience, and all of that boils down actually in an individual to
Yeah.
something that is completely unique. Nobody has exactly the same knowledge and skill and experience that I have, because it's
That's right.
been my life. So
That's
the question, I think, to ask, anybody who's listening today, to ask yourself is, what is it in that uniqueness, in that set of knowledge and skill and experience that I have, that other people value? Because that's where the better business sits. That's where the opportunity
yeah.
to stand out and do something different in the world exists. And that's where you need the courage to stand up and say, this is me, and this is what I'm good at.
Exactly. I love that. That's such a great thing to realize, to kind of realize it in yourself, because again, not many do. It's realizing that this is my skill, this is my strength. And you know, I feel in the past, some of the traits that I now see as my strengths and my key skills have been assumed to be my weaknesses. So again, it's really crucial to understand that maybe a weakness, if you worked on it a little bit and under different circumstances in a different environment, that actually will be your strength. So yes, find your strength, but also do an audit of your weaknesses and see how you can reframe those weaknesses into strength. So that's something, that's a lesson that I've learned in the last few months, actually, in fact.
And very true is they're not, I always think they're not really strengths and weaknesses. They're almost like superpowers, you know, and our ability to think and do things differently. You know, a lot of my clients have told me that I ask really good questions, and you know, you alluded to that when we were talking about the naming of this thing. That's, to me, is just something that I do, but to other people it's a real strength. So you know, you may not even recognize some of the strengths unless you take time to go and talk to the people you interact with, and hear what they say about you, both good and bad, because in both there's an opportunity to draw power and strength, and joy too.
And joy, which is the purpose of life, right? Life is there to be lived. So find your ikigai and go live it. Thank you so much, William. It's been a total pleasure speaking to you. And I hope that we can meet in person soon, because we certainly have a lot to talk about.
We do. Thank you.
Thank you for being my guest today. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Cheers then. Bye-bye.